In this Photoshop tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use Adobe's new artificial intelligence generative fill. With this, you can make selections and then type in what you want Photoshop to automatically generate inside your image. This is very similar to other artificial intelligence image generators, such as Stable Diffusion and Dali. Let's see what Adobe's generative fill can do. Here I have an image, and I'm going to use the lasso tool. And I'm just going to make a random selection here. And then once I have this selection, automatically this contextual menu pops up called Generative Fill. And then I can click that. And then what I get to do is type in a text prompt. So I can go ahead and change this to snowy building. And we'll see what happens when we click Generate. As you can see, now it has changed the building completely and it has some snow. This wasn't so successful, but you can also see other options that Adobe has generated. Here it's come up with a completely strange building right here with some snow on it. And then here, the most successful version, in my opinion, has generated this entire shopping mall complex with snow cascading down the mountain. Let's look at another option here. Here we have an image of a train station. So let's go ahead and lasso out all this in the middle here. And then we'll click Generative Fill and we'll type steam locomotive. And now in this train station, we have a steam locomotive that really could never be there. It's kind of having an accident, but maybe that's accurate since it's going off the tracks. Let's see what other versions it has. Here we have an older, strange subway looking locomotive. And then we have this one here, which is obviously in the wrong spot. I think the first one is the best. This one here, even though it's running off the rails, and you can see how the AI has just gobbled up this person's head. And it's tried to create what it thinks are train stations because it's using imagery from Adobe's stock photo database. Let's look at another one. Here we have a mask. This is commonly seen in the post-COVID era. But we could also press Command or Control minus to zoom out on our scene. Then we can go to Image and we can change our canvas size. So we can just go ahead and type ×2 for the height and the width. So I'll type ×2 and then ×2 and then click OK. Now I have a larger area. And so what I can do is go ahead and select these other parts of the landscape. I can hold Shift to grow my selection here. You could also select the image, then invert your selection. I'll click Generative Fill, and we can take our imagination and say a lava portal to other dimension. And let's see how Photoshop does with that. Here it's created a new image going around the outside. This one is actually pretty bad. This is something that you could almost just do with Photoshop prior and mashing up images. And then the same thing here. This is because we haven't given Photoshop enough of the imagery. So let's go to a different one and try the outpainting. Here we'll go ahead and we'll zoom out a bit and we'll edit our canvas. So we'll go Image, Canvas Size. We'll just move it to the left here and we'll type ×2 and press OK. This time I'm going to make sure that I select a bit of the image there, and we can just click Generative Fill. And notice we can leave it blank. So I can just click Generate, and let's see what Photoshop thinks is supposed to be there. So here Photoshop has done actually a pretty good job of extending this pipe up. None of this pipe exists, and it even created this lip going all the way around. You can see how the detail starts to fade away. Let's see its other versions. Yeah, that looks pretty nice right there. So by not giving Photoshop any prompt, it was able to use the existing pixels. Let's do one last image here. Let's see if we can change what type of soup we're having. So I'm going to use the lasso here, and then I'm going to go ahead and cover that up, and we'll have it. Let's make it, so we're going to make it a tuna rice bowl. We'll go ahead and generate. Now it's done a pretty good job of getting that in there. The colors are a bit off, and those are some ginormous pieces of tuna. But let's see what the other options are. This also looks good. It's basically has taken images it most likely already has of these things. So the Photoshop Generative Fill is a really neat tool. If you want to use it, make sure you download the Adobe Photoshop beta. You can do that from the Creative Cloud app and see if you can have fun using Generative Fill and artificial intelligence in Photoshop.